Stop everything you're doing. This is not a drill. Jamaicans can now travel to Canada without a visa. Yes, you heard that right. The gates have swung wide open and the world is reacting. Some are celebrating, others, furious. Why did Canada make this decision now? What does this mean for Jamaica, for Canada, for immigration as we know it? The truth might shock you. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. We're bringing you raw, unfiltered insights you won't find anywhere else. Now let's break this down and trust me, you'll want to stay until the end. In early 2025, a press release from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada sent ripples across the globe. The headline, Canada expands visa-free travel access to Jamaica and select Caribbean nations. The announcement detailed a policy shift allowing Jamaican passport holders to enter Canada for up to 6 months without a visa, provided they meet certain travel requirements and pre-clearance conditions. For years, Jamaican travelers have needed a temporary resident visa to visit Canada, often a tedious, expensive and uncertain process. Suddenly that barrier was gone. But why now? What changed? Let's be real, Canada doesn't make immigration changes just for fun. This isn't just about tourism. This is about power, influence, and international alliances. After growing criticism over Canada's historically Eurocentric immigration bias, Ottawa has been quietly shifting gears. By 2025, geopolitical dynamics in the Caribbean were ripe for change. China's rising influence in the Caribbean had Canadian policymakers worried. Jamaica's economic rise, infrastructure projects, and diplomatic outreach positioned it as a key player in the region. The Caribbean diaspora in Canada, especially Jamaican Canadians, had been lobbying for more accessible travel for years. And then there's the competition from the United States, which tightened visa rules in 2024, making Canada a more attractive alternative for Caribbean travelers. This visa-free policy, it's a strategic move, a way for Canada to say, we value Jamaica, we want you here. Across Jamaica, the news was met with joy. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #CanadaNoVisa and #Jamaica to the North were trending for days. People celebrated the removal of a system many saw as unjust and discriminatory, but not everyone was happy. Canadian conservatives called the move reckless. They warned about illegal overstays, abuse of public services, and economic migrants flooding the system. One popular Canadian talk show even asked, "Is Canada turning into a soft target for uncontrolled immigration?" The online war of opinions erupted. Comment sections burned with polarized debates. Some Jamaicans in Canada were worried about increased scrutiny or racial profiling as a side effect, and so a policy meant to unify has in many ways divided. To understand the full weight of this policy shift, we need to look back. For decades, Jamaicans have migrated to Canada, particularly after World War II, during Canada's post-war labor shortages. But they weren't always welcomed. The infamous 1950s and 60s immigration filters that favored Europeans over Caribbean immigrants left scars. Even as Jamaican culture flourished in cities like Toronto, systemic barriers persisted. The visa requirement, introduced in the 1980s, was seen as a response to perceived security concerns, a polite way of saying racialized fear. So this new 2025 policy, it's more than convenience, it's redemption, it's recognition, it's an overdue rewrite of history. Let's talk money. With over 500,000 tourists traveling annually between the two countries, economists project this visa-free policy will increase Jamaican travel to Canada by 35% in the first year alone. Here's what that means. More Jamaican entrepreneurs attending conferences, exploring business in Toronto, Montreal, and Calgary, families reconnecting without the hassle of paperwork, Jamaican products, music, and fashion finding new markets in Canada. But it's not all gain. Canadian border services are ramping up pre-clearance systems. There are already rumors of digital surveillance, stricter re-entry controls, and controversial behavior tracking tools. Are we witnessing a new era of freedom or just a new face of control? Let's not forget the role Jamaica played here. Under Prime Minister Mark Golding's administration, Jamaica intensified diplomatic talks with Ottawa, arguing that Jamaican travelers are among the least likely to overstay visas. The visa system was disproportionately targeting black travelers. There was growing resentment in the Caribbean about being treated as second-class partners. Behind closed doors, Jamaican diplomats were clear: either show us respect or watch us pivot to China and Latin America. It worked. Some insiders say the visa removal was a diplomatic compromise to retain influence in the region and counter global shifts. In other words, Jamaica didn't beg. Jamaica negotiated. Before you book that flight, here's what you need to know. This isn't a free-for-all. Visa-free travel comes with conditions. E-passport required, only biometric passports are accepted. Electronic travel authorization, or ETA, still required. A simple online form, $7 CAD, processed in minutes. No work or study. This is for tourism, business visits, and short stays only. Strong travel history. Prior travel to the UK, US, Canada, or Schengen countries may influence pre-clearance. Proof of funds and return ticket may still be requested on arrival. So while the doors are open, don't mistake it for a red carpet. Canada still decides who gets through that airport gate. The media storm following the announcement wasn't always positive. Headlines warned of waves of Jamaicans and border concerns. Talk shows speculated on crime, overstay, and cultural clashes. But where were the voices celebrating Jamaican doctors, engineers, artists, and innovators? Where were the facts? The truth? Jamaicans have consistently contributed to Canada's economy, culture, and workforce, and yet stereotypes persist. This visa decision is forcing Canadians to confront their biases, and not everyone is comfortable. Are we ready to have that conversation? Let us know in the comments. Jamaica might be the first, but it won't be the last. Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and the Bahamas are rumored to be next in line. This policy could transform the Caribbean travel economy, breaking down colonial-era barriers and opening new pathways for education, investment, and cultural exchange. But there's a catch. Some fear brain drain, young talent leaving the islands for greener pastures. Will this hurt local economies? Or is this the dawn of a new Caribbean-Canadian partnership where migration becomes circular, not one way? Only time will tell. May glad, now I can see my daughter in Toronto without waiting 6 months for a visa. Canada, finally wake up. We not criminals, we hard-working people. Me worry dem might still turn you back, dem haffy treat we fair. It's a mix of celebration and caution. Because while policy may change overnight, perception takes longer. So what's the future? Expect more Caribbean nations added to the list, expect Canadian immigration policy to face internal battles, expect the Jamaican passport to rise in global power rankings, but also, expect legal challenges, especially from anti-immigration lobbies. Expect some travelers to be denied entry, causing backlash. Expect media manipulation on both sides. In this complex dance of politics, people, and power, one thing is clear: the world is watching. In a world where borders are tightening, Canada just made a bold move. One that challenges decades of immigration policy, race relations, and diplomacy. Jamaica didn't win a favor, it earned a seat at the table. But whether this becomes a blueprint for inclusion or another flashpoint for controversy, depends on what we all do next. So tell us in the comments. Should more countries be added to the visa-free list? Is this policy a step forward or a slippery slope? And if you've made it this far, first of all, thank you. Now hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. We've got breakdowns coming on US travel bans, Europe's refugee crisis, and the future of global mobility. This was not just a headline, this was history in motion. Stay curious, stay critical, and as always, stay informed.